Welcome to Closing the Distance. I'm Matt Moore. On today's show, it's pretty simple. I'm in deep South Texas. It's late in the season. I killed 2 awesome bucks. Let's get started.
Closing the Distance is brought to you by Matthews Solo Cam. Catch us if you can. Ozonics, scent control that works. Hunter Safety System, dedicated to saving hunters' lives. Executioner Broadheads, born to kill. And by Citadel, revolutionary shoot-down shake. After the break, we'll join host Matt Moore in deep South Texas for 2 late-season bow hunts. Closing the Distance is made possible by Carbon Express Arrows. Shoot better. Shoot Carbon Express. Christian Bow Hunters of America, exalting Christ as Creator, Savior, and Lord. Nikon, the trusted name in optics. Sword Sights, sharp solutions in aiming. Elusive Wildlife Technologies, taking the elusive out of wildlife. And by the amazing Luminot. Can your arrow nock do this?
Going into this season in South Texas, we all knew it was going to be really difficult because back in 2009, 2010, most of Texas was in a severe drought. And we had a really, really poor fawn survival, a poor fawn crop 5 years ago. So going into this year, there was going to be very few 5- and 6-year-old bucks that would even be available, would even be on the hit list because they weren't even born. But luckily, the last 3 seasons, we've had an excellent fawn crop. We know in the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to have some awesome hunts in South Texas because the fawns were born. But in 2009, there just wasn't any. So we were looking at so many trail cameras and looking at so many pictures, just trying to locate a deer.
Well, a big part of our day is checking trail cameras. We only have about 8 cameras out, but 8 cameras scattered over about 2,500 acres, so it takes some time. And it's not the rut yet. It's the latter part of the pre-rut. And some of the bucks are still batch regrouped up, and we're having a hard time finding any mature bucks. We're seeing a lot of 2- and 3-year-olds. The big bucks are out here, but they're not moving, so we're really, really working these trail cameras and trying to figure out what's going on. But it's a lot of fun, takes up a lot of time, but that's what you got to do. That's what the trail cameras are for, is really using them in season to help you locate a deer.
And I was there hunting with Chubb Clemens, and Chubb and I have hunted at the Rockinell Ranch for the last 7 or 8 years, and we've had some awesome hunts there. But this season, it's just going to be really, really brutal for us. And it was going to be complicated just going through the cards and trying to find a deer, but we located a buck. We located a buck that we knew about. And for the past 3 seasons, he just looked the same. He was a mainframe 10-point with short tines, and for some crazy reason, he has always showed up at this feeder at the end of the year. And on this morning's hunt, he showed up.
After this short break, we'll continue with the hunt. Closing the Distance will be right back. Closing the Distance is proudly supported by Whitetails Unlimited, working for an American tradition. Real World Wildlife Seed, dare to compare. And by Fish and Still Equipment, your East Texas John Deere dealer.
It's dark inside this blind. I held back for a long time. Passed through shot. I was needing that bad. And that was the deer that I came over here to hunt. He is old. He's a short tine 10-point. He's been that way for the last 3 years. I know that deer really, really well. A great, great deer to kill. Yes. I tell you, filming yourself, it can be tricky. Just look at the sunrise, these clouds in South Texas. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. I had my GoPro up, aimed at him. I'm anxious to look at that footage and see if it was any good, but hunting in a ground blind, that's not but about a 21-yard shot. I've got really, really good blood on my arrow. Let me set this camera up here and show you. Complete pass-through. Such a fun morning bow hunt. You know, it's just seldom now that we ever shoot a deer anymore that we don't have some type of history with. I've known this old 10-point for the past 3 years. He's looked the same almost every year. He's had some, I think one year he had a G1 that was broke off one year, but just a great example of what South Texas and what the landowners and the ranchers and the biologists, what they call a management buck. The reason is it's just a narrow spread, short tine 10-point. It's a buck that you always heard that you don't want this type of genetics breeding the does, but there's really no telling how many does that this buck has bred over the years. Short tine 10, but just a great deer, a trophy deer, an older deer. He's 7-year-old plus easily. Big bodied, big long wheelbase buck. Such a fun hunt and just excited to shoot a deer that I've known about. And for some reason, I know just for the past 3 years that I've known about this deer, he's only showed up at this particular feeder late in the year. I don't know where he is early. I don't know where he goes during the rut. But late in the year, for the past 3 years, I know he's been here. I saw this deer 2 years in a row, late in the season, in the same area, out of the helicopter survey. And I'm finally glad and excited that I caught up with him. It's so fun when they get quartering away like that, and you can just run it up in them. A quick, easy, clean kill.
75 yards maybe at the most he ran, piled up. I love bow hunting, I just love it. I wanted to show you our setup here in South Texas. We've shot several deer over the years on this spot. It's a typical South Texas ground blind corn feeder setup that we have. Got the feeder is about 22 yards from the ground blind. It's a small ground blind, just big enough for one person, two people, really too crowded. It's a great place to self-film on a ground blind setup. But a huge tip I want to give you if you want to shoot out of a ground blind like this is don't use that camouflage mesh. Get you the clear screen window replacement. And actually, Chubb and I came over here about 9 o'clock last night and replaced that screen. The old screen that was on there was camouflage. It's hard to film out of it, hard to see out of it. It's too much glare when that sun comes up in the morning. With that mesh screen like that, doesn't have the glare, the deer can't see in it. I know a lot of bow hunters don't like shooting through the mesh because they think you can't get good broadhead flight. But you can know what happened on that hunt. But there is the broadhead hole through the mesh. Perfect hole. It did the job this morning.
After the break, host Matt Moore discusses fawn survival and takes us on one more exciting bow hunt. Closing the Distance will be right back.
Welcome back to Closing the Distance. Today I'm in South Texas, late season bow hunt. And I mentioned earlier about the poor fawn crop, the poor fawn survival we had back in 2009 and 2010. And the landowner here at the Rock and Nail, he's Mr. Sutton, he's real aggressive about controlling the predators, getting the government trapper out, running traps, running snares to help reduce the predators. And also every year, it is so fun, we get to go up in the helicopter and hunt predators. Riding in the helicopter and chasing the coyotes is easier said than done. The coyotes are always running and ducking and turning. And it's a hard hunt, even with a shotgun. But in the course of an hour, you usually can kill 6 or 7 or 8 predators, 6 or 7 or 8 coyotes. And it's a quick and easy way to reduce that population. I don't know how many fawns one coyote will kill during the course of the fawning season, during the course of the latter part of May and June. Even if it's one, that's too many. But if you've got a dozen coyotes running around your place, that could be 15 or 20 fawns that die. So that's 10 bucks that may be off your property. And when those fawns are gone, 4 and 5 and 6 years from now, there's not any bucks to hunt. So you have to reduce your predators all the time. You have to stay on top of it. It's never ending. Keep running the traps, hunt them as much as you can. If you ever get a chance to do it out of the helicopter, do it. It's a lot of fun. It was just 2 days after I shot that real nice 10-point, and I was over hunting at another setup that we call the pond. This setup, it's a bow blind that's on a 20-foot platform, and it's elevated, and it's a really, really good place to hunt. And we've shot some nice deer in this area over the years, but this particular year we wasn't getting any mature buck pictures at this setup, and nobody really ever hunted it. But there was a particular buck that was starting to come in late in the year. And Chubb talked me into going over there. Nobody even wanted to go over there and hunt because there just wasn't anything going on. And I went over there just to see if he would show up, and he did. We had spent a lot of time this year just running trail cameras, just trying to locate a shooter buck. And in 2 days, I had 2 shooters on me. I hunted hard all year, and all the hard work was about to pay off. This is another older buck that we knew about. A big body deer, and keep in mind it's end of January and the rut's over with, so they've lost a lot of that body weight, but just an older, big-headed, wore out knees, the sagging jaw, just a good deer to try to shoot. That deer was in there and he was really, really calm. There was a couple does that were there with him, and a group of turkeys came in behind him, and the deer, he was just really, really relaxed. And when the deer and the turkeys kind of feed together here on this ranch, we know everything is good. We know the deer's calm, and so that gave me a good opportunity to take my time and really prepare to make a good shot.
Just tumbled. I thumped him big time. An older 10 point. Didn't have any G1s that were real short brows. They might have been broke. But an older deer. I'm nervous. I'm shaking now. He came in directly downwind. Look here. That wind is blowing right out of the east. He walked up right out of the east. Or out of the west. I'm so nervous, I don't even know what to say. Thumped him big time. He fell just right there. Do you believe this? What a gorgeous late season South Texas buck. What a gorgeous deer. He's a pretty deer. He's probably older than what I think he is. His G1s are broke off. Big old fat Roman head. I just thumped him. Oh, look at his knees. His old knees were, you can tell when they're older like that, where they lay down so much, their knees are, the hair's gone and they're calloused up. That blind's just right there. I don't think he went 50 yards. What a gorgeous buck. Late season South Texas. It's post rut. These bucks start coming back into the corn feeders. It makes for some fun bow hunting. Fun bow hunting. Their necks aren't as swole. They're not as ruddy, but they're easier to hunt. Especially with a bow. We can get them standing still. But check that out. Gorgeous deer. Yeah.
On today's episode, we're talking about what to do when the hunting times seem really slow. You know, in fact, last season's episodes, I was hunting with Matt in South Texas, and we had one of those times. I mean, we hunted for 4 days, and for 3 of those days, the truth is we hardly ever even saw a buck. And on the last hour of the last day's hunt, I was able to take really the best bow buck that I've ever taken. And so what do you do when times get slow and times get stagnant? Well, you got to change spots, and you got to stay with it, and you got to just keep pursuing. You never know when things are going to shift and things are going to turn around. In the last moment, sometimes things can be different, and you can take that buck of a lifetime. You know, but I see the same thing with people when it comes to God. What do you do when life gets stagnant? What do you do when life gets stale? What do you do when life just seems to not be getting what you want out of it or going the way that you want it to go? I would say change spots. Maybe you're living your life without God. Maybe you've never given God a chance. Maybe you don't go to church at all anywhere. I would say if you're feeling that restlessness and you're feeling that life has just gotten stagnant for you, man, change a spot, man. Give God a chance in your life. You'll be surprised and shocked what God can do in your life when you really give everything to Him and say, Lord, I'm coming to you just like I am, and I'm going to give you a chance to change everything in my life. In fact, if you'd like to know more about a personal relationship with God through His Son, Jesus Christ, just go to closingthedistance.com and click on the Moment of Truth tab.